Senior. I welcome each and every one of you who is on board here tonight. We hope to have hopefully a very enlightening, I guess, to boost a meeting to boost our awareness on where we are with the current issues regarding Indian Head Highway, Route 210. For those of you who were a part of the December 20th meeting, I want to thank you for coming on board. It was a very, very good meeting, a very good turnout. December 20th, we really got a lot of press and media coverage on that date. All of the major, well, I put it this way, all of the news media stations in the Washington metropolitan area were there. News Channel 4, Fox TV Fox TV 5, Channel 5, ABC Channel 7, CBS Channel 9. We had WTOP radio that did a interview on the radio that was broadcast that following day. We also had the Washington Post had a very thorough article with us. I think it was on the December the 26th, Monday, the 26th. Then I think it was WDCA, the cable station. I think it's 802 in the cable. They also did interviews. So we were covered thoroughly with the news media, thanks to very good work for Pastor Stephanie Bynum in her press release that she launched out in a very good fashion. We all kudos to Pastor Stephanie working with Mr. John Singh, the Road Safety Committee. So we were really pleased with not only the outcome but also the coverage that we received on that date. And then, of course, not to exclude our presenters, we had starting the county executive, we had Angela Olson Brooks, we had Delegate Woods on board, we had John Singh from the Road Safety, we had Pastor Lincoln Burrows from Central Baptist Church, we had Councilman at Large Councilman Calvin Hawkins, I had Ron Weiss. We were thoroughly blessed also with NAACP Linda Thomas Thornton. We were thoroughly blessed with a very good I guess, package and podium of presenters. They gave out very good information. All were in support of this bill of which we are trying to get passed here, which just as a by the way, the identifier, the Prince George's County identifier is PG 306-24. And this is the bill covering the restructuring of the speed camera system or speed camera citation fines. And so it was a very good turnout. We had a lot of support. And so we find ourselves here now at this time, not just reporting on what has been done, but still what yet is to be done. What we want to do just before we get started, I will be giving, and I think would probably be our next meeting, information to all of you who will be able to, if you so desire, to bring also your support to the delegates that will be in the General Assembly that will be voting on this bill. We will need each and all of your participation in terms of vote, in terms of emails, in terms of calls, that sort of thing that will hopefully strengthen our posturing position and support for this bill. So hopefully on February the 19th, which will be our next third Monday of the month meeting date, at the same time, hopefully to have that information to you. But thank you for all of you who supported us thus far in this worthy endeavor. We're going to start out with, as we normally do in our reporting, to keep you updated with starting out with Captain Martin from the District 7 Police Station, Fort Washington, who has been and will and is today to give us an update on the current data from, I guess, the last 30 days of reporting for the conditions from their perspective, from the cruisers from the police department. Prince George's County Police Department that can give us the enlightenment of what they have to report thus far for the last 30 days. So Captain Martin, I will turn it over to you. And thank you so much for being on board. And we'll turn the podium over to you that you can give your current reporting.
All right. So good evening, everyone. So we go by the calendar year. So actually, I just reset our 210 traffic enforcement efforts spreadsheet here. So the numbers are pretty low because we just started the year. So I'll run through them real quick. And I believe this time last year, I think we would have had SOD out here with the traffic unit because I was looking at last year's numbers and they were a little bit higher. We haven't had SOD come out here. Normally they're great for their number of stops when they come out there. But anyhow, for the year through this is actually through the 13th, we have 36 traffic stops, moving citations 33, 36 warnings, equipment repair orders we got 5, and that's a total of 74 citations overall. And then also Division 4 does the pedestrian. They hand out the pedestrian flyers, and they're up to 110 for the year. So low numbers, but the numbers it just reset, so that's understandable. I do intend to make this a point of emphasis amongst the squads this year. We've had one overlap day so far where we have the 4 squads out there, and not having to respond to calls definitely helps their availability for enforcement. So we had some excellent numbers on that day when I notified the lieutenant, so that was going to be a point of emphasis for that day. So I'll continue to do that throughout the year. One thing we do have coming at some point prior to the summertime, we may, if everything continues on track, we may have our shift reorganization, which would drop our shifts from 5 to 4, which helps for staffing, but that would eliminate these overlap days. So I will, at that point, I'll have to just ensure that we're doing the enforcement during our regular tours, because we're going to lose that once a week enforcement where we got 2 extra squads out there. One of the things I did notice when I went southbound on 210 the other day, I'm not sure what you guys have seen, but it looked like there was a traffic calming device on the southbound lanes there, south of 228. I'm not sure if anyone else noticed that.
Yes.
I noticed some of the sticks up there. I'm not sure how long that's been there, but as I don't normally go there, that was the first time I saw, and I noticed traffic slowing down, so that's definitely good. And really the only other thing with today's weather into the night, just make sure you slow down. Our county is on a what we call a signal 26 right now, so all enforcement activities are kind of limited, and they're just responding to calls and remaining visible due to the roads. And I just had the sergeant hit me up via phone that Indian Head's getting a little slushy right now, so they're going to call out a plow. So just don't go out if you don't need to go out. That's pretty much all I got for the first one here in January. Has anybody got any questions for me?
Just real quick. So are you saying there's about 10 tickets per day since January 1 for pedestrians?
So for pedestrians, those are flyers. Those are like informational flyers. And since that's out of Division 4, I'm not sure. They have their cops officers as well as patrol officers that hand that out. So I'm not sure if it's anybody that's on foot or what's their barrier for handing one out. But yeah, they're up to 110 just through 13 days in the year. So yeah, over just around 10 a day.
Okay, so is it a citation or a flyer?
It's a informational flyer. It's not a citation.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, Captain Martin, we thank you for your report, and we just pray you continue to stay safe, all of you and all of your other policemen in District 7, all the policemen as well. I know it's a very challenging evening, and will be tomorrow and the next so many days with the snow and ice on the roads. But we thank you for your dedication. We thank you for your report, and we just pray Godspeed with you and all that with you, keeping us all safe. What I would like to do now is just to kind of give a recap on the last reporting numbers I had to kind of give us context for the rest of the meeting. I don't have anything in terms of recent reporting from the Automatic Enforcement Division. I will say this, that they're in a period of transition right now in terms of contracting issues. But what I will give you is what we have of the latest report that was going between the months of August and October, to give context again for where we are with our traffic needs in terms of enforcement, in terms of improvement of our camera situation, that sort of thing. Again, this is a time period from of August 1, 2023 to October 31st, 2023, that 3-month period. There were over, and as I've tried to report, there are two different numbers that we receive on our reports in terms of camera recording. We have an 11-mile buffer for the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, as we know, and I'm just kind of rehashing some things, but to build context in terms of where the numbers are, from 55 to 66 miles per hour, the cameras will not cite you. It's 67 miles per hour and above. This is when you get a citation, but I get numbers that will reflect the what the cameras are recording in terms of the total number of unvetted, I guess, recordings that the camera will pick up. Unvetted meaning police cars are included in that on emergency runs. Also, you know, any emergency vehicle, whether it's an ambulance, a fire truck, what have you, will be in that recording. Also, tickets, well, also recordings of sometimes the speeds are so great that the cameras can pick up a, you know, that there's an incident of going over the speed limit, but they can't read necessarily the tags in a visible way. There may be some distortion on the tags or what have you. But anyway, the numbers that we have in terms of this, and that's considered the citable infraction number. That's always going to be a high number for this 3-month period. That number was 11,786 vehicles who were in the citable infraction mode.
I've never thought that leaning into LSU meant not just being at the game, but playing a part in this.
Well, I think someone's got their, have to be muted out to have their background on. I want to give that number once again, 3-month period, 11,786 citable infraction numbers. Unfortunately, the citation number out of that number was very, very low, less than 3,000 that were in the citation mode, which we know that's just unreasonable. But that bears its own merit of the explanation and things that are included with that number. In that same period, though, the 3-month period, we had over 204 people that went over 100 miles per hour in that 3-month period. 204 over 100 miles per hour between the collective data of the 3 cameras. We also had in that number the average high speed. As I think I tried to explain several times, each of the cameras will pick up and record the high speeds in that 30-day period. So between the 3 cameras, we get an average of what the 3 cameras are picking up in terms of high-speed data. That average for that 3-month period was 150 miles per hour. We had a range from, I think, 133 in a high speed to 170 miles per hour during that reporting period. So if you put all of that in context of, you know, this is why we're meeting here, because the numbers that I've just read you, I mean, they don't reflect a roadway, they reflect a raceway. They reflect something that's really where people are, I mean, I guess close to it is just out of control. There's just a lawless element that really is not paying any attention to the speed laws. Now, take in context, every time that you have a speed camera by law and by the way it is presented on any head highway, by policy, there has to be 3 points of signage to let you know where that you're approaching a speed camera. So it's not just 1 warning, not just 2 warnings. There's 3 posted warnings that before you get to the camera to let you know the camera is forthcoming. None of the cameras have been moved in the last 2 years. I think the last one was moved in somewhere in 2021. So it's not like people don't know that the cameras are there. So when you're getting, this is what I'm getting at. when I picked the months apart, I think we were getting something over 4,000 people a month in the 30-day period that were going over the speed limit. So you have to put that in context. This is what we're living with. I mean, knowing where the speed cameras are there, knowing what the speed limit is, being posted and warned ahead of time, but yet you get these kind of numbers of people flying over the speed limit in the numbers that I've just reported, with 204 of them going over 100 miles per hour. So we have a very much of a issue. We have a problem. We have an unsafe roadway with these kinds of numbers reported by the speed cameras. Now, here again, these are not numbers that where somebody can challenge. These are mechanically generated numbers that just reflect what the true picture is on any head highway. So that being said, I won't take any questions on that right now, but if we can certainly talk about this when we have the time to kind of analyze or go into discussion about some of the things I've just reported. We're moving into a new year. We're moving into a new year where we hope to be able to, again, have this bill to be more of a stringent and accountable mechanism to rein these types of driving behavior people in to accountability with the new reconstructed fine system. But as it is right now, those are the numbers that I have reflected, the last reported numbers. That being said, I'm going to go, and so this put a bookmark on what I've just reported. And if we can certainly have our time to discuss these things, once we finish with our presenters. I want to go straight to Peter Kapinides, who is our state highway representative, the Maryland Department of Transportation, State Highway Administration representative. Peter has been with us again, as I always report, since our inception over 6 years ago. And Peter is responsible for all of the infrastructure improvements and other things that go into the roadway infrastructure safety elements that are there. Captain Martin has talked about the traffic calming elements that have been put in the southbound portion of Any Head Highway. I don't know, Peter, if you have anything to say about that. I hope we have Dr. Mark France on it to also talk about it, but if not, Peter, I'll turn it over to you and let you go with things in terms of what you have to report in terms of things in past 30 days, present, and what you have for us for the future. So Peter, I'll turn it over to you.
Happy New Year, everyone. I saw, yeah, happy New Year, Mr. Holloway. I'm thankful that, the devices are finally being installed here. It's been difficult to get it, get the schedule to actually get the devices implemented. Is also I get the sense from what the captain said that the work hasn't been completed yet. So, but I'm glad to also know that that it is kind of having that intended effect of slowing people down a little bit also.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to go down there in the past week or so, primarily because my counterpart informed me of the progress that's being made on the project, and the intent was to get all the devices in both directions by the end of last week. So I was going to go this week to check it out. I still intend to do that because I want to see what it looks like, especially having the quick curb on both sides.
Yes.
When I was out there almost 2 weeks ago, it was only on one side. So it's like, well, there's no there yet. But that's why I wanted to have both the treatments on both sides of the roadway. So as you can, as been mentioned thus far, snow is falling. I have a feeling we're gonna have a winter. Oh, sure, Mr. Huggins. So what I'm talking about is we've been talking about over the course of the last several months about quick curb and flex posts being installed along Maryland 210 between the Charles County line and Maryland 228. As has been reported by both Reverend Screen, the police, and Ron Weiss, that speeds down in this particular section of 210 have been in excess of 170 miles per hour, which is I can't believe I'm uttering it, let alone trying to wrap my head around this. So what this treatment is supposed to do, especially in the manner with which am proposing having the quick curb installed, is to create a tunnel effect in a manner that would condition the motorist to drive closer to the posted speed limit. And closer to the speed limit is a relative thing. But if they're able to at least go 70 miles per hour, which is still high, but not 170 miles per hour, certainly, then we made a major achievement in trying to improve safety down here. So it's so right now the State Highway Administration is working with the University of Maryland on a research project to see what effect these treatments have. Dr. Franz, who's been heading up the effort, will be providing reports from time to time to share their progress, as well as see what type of effect once all the devices are in place to determine if they have the intended effect, not just short term, midterm, but long term, of calming traffic. So I reserve comment on my level of optimism. I just want to see if we can make a positive effect on this road, and this road would kind of be the sort of the could be, if it goes well, the impetus for applying this on other roadways, particularly US 301, because that too is notorious for crashes as well. I would say in some respects, maybe even more so than Maryland 210. I think the meetings that we've had thus far have certainly put a spotlight on the kind of road Maryland 210 is. And obviously we're not done yet. But that's my spiel on that one research project. I have a feeling that we may have to wait until the spring before replacing those flex posts on the shoulders. That's the sense that I'm getting, especially since the maintenance shops kind of rely on having that open section over there to push the snow to the side to maintain safety. So we're going to do what we can. I just got another note. I saw another note about the pavement condition at Farmington Road. Mr. Holloway emailed me a couple of times on what he has seen. The maintenance shop went out there first to do something, but unfortunately it did not work. I reached out to my counterpart and in maintenance, and he gave his recommendations on how to make that better than what was done initially. So we're gonna have to wait first until the this batch of snow is completed before we can actually go out there and make the repairs. But it is but we are aware of it, and as soon as scheduling permits, we'll be out there again to fix it, and hopefully fix it completely. So that's all I have to report right now.
Peter, we thank you for your report. Let me just give you. You said you have not had a chance to visit the area that's under the project workmanship right now with the University of Maryland. I happen to live in that section of roadway between 228 and the Charles County line, and I can tell you there still is some work to be done, but they have done a great deal of work from last week, or actually it's the last 2 weeks, but last week they really put in a lot of time for both the quick curb and the flex post. My wife and I were riding today, I guess hours ago from this meeting. Unfortunately, there are people that are hitting the flex posts already and the quick curbs. Every time I see one of these quick curbs or flex posts down, I get two different things that come to mind. I see so many people riding over the shoulders. I mean, there are those people who actually ride the shoulders as a lane. That's number one. Then you have people who are just not paying attention and are drifting over into the shoulders. And I personally know of at least about 3 people who have lost their life that used to walk on the roadways that have been hit. And so it lets me know that element of driving is still very persistent on this roadway, where people matter of fact, I was behind somebody this 2 days ago. They were getting ready to run. I was behind them right there. They're going northbound. They were coming up on the quick curves, and they were within feet of running into all of them. They adjusted their driving to get back on the lane. But it just lets me know that, and when I think about people, there's always this thing about, the bike riders want to get on the shoulders. There's no way that this road is safe for that. People are just not putting their whole effort and focus on the road. And you will see, I don't know if it'll be time before you get to see it, Peter, but they've been, again, they've just put these flex poles up here days ago. And there's a host of them knocked down already. And it's just, that's the kind of driving behavior we have out there. And I think every time I see one down, that's a possibility of somebody riding a bike, walking the shoulders, that could be hit by these same drivers. But that's what we're dealing with. That's what we have to, this is why we're here, because we know that this road has still a ways to go in terms of bringing safety measures to get that type of, rein that type of driver in, and by any means necessary and accountability. But I thank you, Peter, for your report. Dr. Francis is doing a good job. Well, here's the other part of it, and let me not just end on a sour note, because it is, from my observation, experiential observation, slowing people down. And that is that's one good thing that I can report. I've always saw that there are two different drivers out here. There's the law abiding that may go over the speed limit from time to time, but then there's the lawless. They just don't care. And the law abiding are slowing down. I can tell you that because when I get on the road, usually everybody's passing me on the left. People are staying behind me in place in that section of roadway. But the large body of people are staying in place. They're doing the speed limit or close to it. And so I don't know how long that's going to last. People trying to figure out what they're running into in terms of, running across in terms of the flex poles. Do they have cameras in these things? Because when you see the quick curve, the kind he has, I don't know if people thinking they got cameras in them to monitor the speed, but they're slowing down. And so for those who are slowing down, that measure. But then you have the ones that just don't care, and that's the part that we have to do some work towards in terms of accountability and really stringent, aggressive behavior things that are going to have to bring that group of people in. But anyway, that's my report on that, and I thank you, Peter, for what you've given us. It is, as I say again, overall, it is working in slowing people down. I don't know if we have Dr. France on the line. I tried to get him to report. I don't think he is, but I just gave that little bit of ad lib to what you said, Peter, just in case he's not. Dr. France, I don't see you on here, so we will move on at this point. I thought we might have Commissioner Collins here. I don't think he's on with us as well. So that being said, I would like to open up for questions and questions and answer period from the body. For those of you who have questions or comments, this is the time that we can have a more open-ended. I think we have about 35 minutes, 25 minutes left of time. So if any of you have any questions about anything said about the reporting by Peter, by Captain Martin, or myself, this is the time that you can have at it. Yes, Andrew, see your hand up there.
How you doing, sir?
Yes,
Good
sir.
evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I just want to go back to the question asked. Are there more sturdier flex poles that can be put out? We mentioned about a long time ago about the yellow ones that they have over on Piscataway Road in Clinton. People are just run these things over with no repercussions whatsoever. Could there be something else you can put there in place? Something that would really get their attention, because folks, as you noted, run up 210 in the mornings. Folks are using the I would say the emergency lane as an extra lane, and that starts down here, really at Fort Washington Road.
Yeah,
Going all the way up.
yeah.
Any help?
Yeah, so that's something that we would probably have to at the earliest we would probably do that in the spring. I know that I know it's been a recurring thing, and so it's something that I have to discuss further to see if we can do something a little bit deep, to do something a little bit more robust, to say the least. But as far as what we installed along that section between the Charles County line and 228, we were looking at 3 different types of treatments, and this was just for the research purposes, just to for documentation purposes, what effect this would have. And so we all know what happens with the flex post, but what we are anticipating is that at the very least a quick curb would, is more sturdier. And, you know, we've seen that in other places. It also depends on, you know, the characteristics of the roadway and how people drive, as to how long, those, you know, devices are able to stay up. I saw at least 2 messages about the mall. I am going to, see if we can, do something a little bit different that, doesn't, um, require as much, maintenance, but I'm not surprised that, people are making left turns. I'm sure those who want to have been dying to do it since we put the flex post up and blocked the turn bays and the access point. I've gotten calls from Miss Moore. I don't know if you know Paula Moore, but she's attended these meetings a couple of times, and yeah, so that's something that, you know, we need to address. I want to address it with I do want to address it with guardrail. I think Ron said use a traffic barrier, but that has its host of issues if we don't install them properly. So but that's I'm thinking at least for the access point we would block it off with guardrail. And I think we might be looking at well, it's something that I need to talk about with maintenance, as to whether we really should consider quick curb as opposed to flex post, at least here anyway, or yeah, something else that I'm not thinking of. So so I appreciate those 2 comments, and I have I've been copying and pasting onto Reverend Screen's original email to
Yes.
as notes. So thank you for that.
I've got another inquiry on the chat here, Peter. Is it possible to add deep grooves along the shoulders? Is it possible to install the flex posts that are more sturdier? You've already answered that, and more intimidating. But the grooves, you know, I don't know if that's something that can be, you know, something in that area that can be. I guess something like, you know, something.
know.
That, I don't know
Yeah,
if you have something like that in your arsenal.
we do. We have those are the rumble strips that that are used on the Beltway and other expressways throughout the state. We have them on Maryland 4. We've been using them along US 301 in various sections. The disclaimer is that it you know, though, for those who like to, you know, or like to use the shoulders, it's going to make a lot of noise, and we don't quite have the you know, the noise, you know, barriers there to kind of muffle or block out that noise, to, you know, to for it to not disturb the adjacent residences. So I would be more inclined to using probably quick curb over the rumble strips, but yeah, that is one of the treatments that have, you know, have been used, particularly, you know, for those who stop for emergencies.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know there's at least at least my understanding is that the shoulders have to be accommodating to the emergency vehicle. That's what they're in part for to be utilized for.
The shoulders are, and then the rumble strips are there basically to for those who are impaired, either fatigued or otherwise, to give them notice that you know, they're riding off the road and they need to, you know, wake up and keep their vehicle in the lanes.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I mean, we have to do something. I mean, as Andy talks about from Fort Washington Road move, I mean, this has been something been going on for decades now. I mean, that's actually what got me moving in the direction of getting this 210 Traffic Safety Committee established, because people, I'm talking going back in the 90s forward, have been starting at Fort Washington Road, right at Fort Washington Road, moving all the way down in the shoulder at highway speed, you know, all the way through. Now, I mean, it hasn't stopped. I mean, I know you put the flex poles down by the Old Fort Road going north, which helped to that point. But now they've knocked those poles down pretty much. I don't think any of them standing. Maybe one or two. They just go inside of it now. So you know, unfortunately, our laws and our remedies are like a snail chasing the hare, and we're just too slow in moving. We don't want to think of ourselves as being as egregious as we are, as a human body, but we are. And unfortunately, that element that is just off the hook and don't want to abide by the law, we've allowed them to run rampant, and they are the ones who are responsible for, you know, the type of behavior patterns that are leading to the, you know, the accidents, leading to the you know, the high speeds, leading to the fatalities. We've just got to get off of center and stop looking. I mean, that's almost hubris to think, oh, we're better than that. Well, we have the capability to be better, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to be better, and we're allowing them to have free reign to do the things that they're doing, and our laws are just not in step with what the mindset of that element of our society is doing. And it's been frustrating for a lot of folks who are looking for our, you know, our governmental bodies to get in step with what people are actually doing, not what, you know, when you put up signs and things, that's the law abiding will abide, but they're already doing that. It's the lawless that can care less how many signs you put up, how many, you know, even with this law that we're putting in now, that's only going to address a certain amount of people. The lawless are going to, you know, they just don't pay the fines. They're just going to do what they're going to do. So we're at the point right now, we won't have it on this particular law, but believe me, we're looking to try to address and formulate laws that get these people off of the roads. And if they don't want to abide by being off the roads, then we got to put them in jail. As simple as that. You can't have this group of people holding hostage everyone else on this road. You can't do that. I mean, unless you just want to have it done. And you want to, that's the way your quality of life, you want to agree to that. I mean, it's either or. Which one do we want? You know, we have to get these people off of the road. And so it's time to start, you know, accommodating this. I mean, I look at my insurance the last 2 years, I'm paying 100% more than I was 2 years ago without any infractions, and I'm not trying to boast or anything. I'm saying all of us are paying this in the head highway community. We're paying for you know, for those who want to do the things they're doing. You know, insurance is about proportion business, you know, proportionate to where you know, the kind of action you had, you're going to pay. Everybody's going to pay for that. So we have to start looking at things that really work for that part of society and the segment of driving public that actually rein these folks in to make it safe for all of us. It won't affect the law abiding because they're already doing the right thing. It's just the lawless that we have to deal with. But Peter, I know that, you know, you're doing all that you can, but you know, a lot of this work has to be done through legislation and getting the legislators on board to write up laws that are in step with what's actually happening on the road, not what we would like for it to be, not with, you know, things that are already, you know, being adhered to, but we have to put things in a more accountable and stringent type of format that is actually making the kind of significant change that we're looking for. I want to get to, first of all, before I answer this question that came on the chat, are there any other questions for Peter regarding the things that he's been discussing about the quick curves and flex posts and that sort of thing from any of us? Okay. Let me, it's one of the chat questions that came up. Reverend Screen, can you elaborate more on the 11,786 infractions versus 3,000 as you mentioned earlier? Okay, let's go to that. Again, the 11,786, that's what the cameras are actually recording of people going over 67 miles per hour and above. That's the raw figure, but that's an unvetted figure. That's the figure that, again, would not vet out the emergency vehicles that are, illegally going, on a call. But we don't have that in the thousands, put it that way. That's just not the case. What we have is an issue that's going on with our contractor who has not been keeping up with giving out the right number of citations in line with the number of people that have actually have warranted true infractions and citable speeds. That's our problem, and it has been our problem for some time. And there are things in the background to eliminate that problem. It has not been rectified as of yet, but the movement is being made as I speak to make that change. I can tell you, if we get, oh my gracious, if we get what we're supposed to have, if we get the type of accountability that these cameras, the cameras that are actually out there, not necessarily the ones we have, but the cameras actually out there, and with that number, I mean, the budget problem would be fixed almost within months. It's just that many people are doing things that warrant the citations, and that can generate the revenue in huge sums that is not the case at this point. I don't know if that answers your question, but we've got to, things are being done to rectify that problem in regard to the number of citable infractions and number of citations given. Things are being done to rectify that problem, but it has not happened as of this as yet. But things are moving forward in that direction. Can you make the far left lane HOV2 or HOV3 during rush hour, obligating everyone to use mainly 2 lanes if they do not have 2 or 3 passengers? I'm just reading from one of the chat questions. Let me say this about the HOV lanes. Believe it or not, almost 30 years ago, that was one of the considerations. State Highway, Department of Public Works and Transportation, and Peter knows this, they had visions for Any Head Highway that should have been implemented decades ago. The plannings were already done, and one of the plans were about HOV lanes. It was either going to be HOV lanes, it was going to be a rail system, or it was going to be the overpasses. Well, the overpasses are the ones that they have stuck with. So the HOV lanes, I don't think are part of the vision for the, as far as I know, and Peter may know something different, but HOV lanes are not a part of the vision as I can see it for moving forward for Any Head Highway. I think it's going to be the overpasses, which is, you had the one here that was done last year, $130 million project that should have been done decades ago, but it is what it is. I have from Ms. Huggins, next meeting, will you explain the process for getting bill voted on, including timelines? Has the governor's office weighed in? Our governor's office, to my knowledge, has not weighed in yet. I do plan on bringing in the schedule for all of us to be able to participate and being able to either by email, by call, or whatever way that you want to do it, to register your support, hopefully for this upcoming bill. I hopefully have the names or the avenues and streams of I guess contacting people that we can all participate in lending our emails to to hopefully support this upcoming bill. That will, hopefully I'll have that information as for our next meeting, and just as you have indicated in your question. Are there anything else? I think up on the chats in terms of
I have one. This is for Mr. Holloway. I don't have an update for him, but I certainly copied the note down and included it on the many notes that I've received so far.
Thank you, sir. I was just trying to keep that over to you without everybody else.
I know. No, I
appreciate
know. I know. I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Green.
Yes.
I know that this is not on 210, but it's I guess relevant to our area. The building of new homes and whatnot over right down here in the south side. Infrastructure. How is that being addressed at all?
now we're about on new homes.
Right now, they put more homes right there at Maniquee. And I think put more homes back on the back half here behind
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that, but oh yeah, I know you're talking about. You're talking about across the street from the shopping center, I guess.
yes, sir.
That
Yes,
area,
sir.
that area
Because
there.
they've had flooding over there, you know, because I guess the bad, the sewage flooding is
Yes,
times,
yes.
backflow, and there's still
Uh,
no homes over there.
You know what, Andy, I don't know. I heard about that some months ago that they had flooding sewage issues over there.
Yes, sir.
And you know, it just kind of, the whole matter just seemed to drop out and, you know, dissipate in terms of, you know, what has happened in terms of things that I know about. I don't really know what the answer is in terms of what they have done, what they plan on doing. Yeah, I'm just absent of that information at this point in time. But I do know that this is an up and coming development, and I mean I mean they've had it there for a little while, but they didn't start building here. I mean, really significant building here too lately, and now they got sewage issues already. So I don't know what to say about that, but there's an answer someplace floating in the wind, but I just thought he didn't float my way yet. Yes, any other questions anyone may have regarding things spoken about here tonight?
Any date on timeline for next intersection they're gonna work on for overpass bypass on 210 coming south?
Well, I mean, Peter will probably be able to, and I'm glad you brought that up, Andy, because as all of us probably know, this General Assembly is you know, talking heavily about you know, cutting transportation budget, and so the latest information that we got prior to all this transportation issue coming up in terms of the budget cuts was that that project, well, I put it this way, Indiana Head Highway was really low on the totem pole of you know, having I guess a priority or precedent or somewhere in the top tier of being addressed in terms of that overpass at Palmer Road, which is the next site to be addressed. So now with that being said, being low on that, you know, pole of addressed areas, and then you talk about, I think it was $2-3 billion budget deficit. I just don't see it on the horizon any place. But Peter, maybe you have something that you can tell us that's different.
Well, let me be a little bit more optimistic. So the project is in the planning stage. We're looking at Palmer Road and Old Fort Road North together as kind of one interchange. There we're in the beginning stages of trying to figure out how best to handle that. We're looking at June to meet with the public at least at the last meeting. That's what I was told. There were flyers that were sent out that there would be an in-person public meeting in the spring. So that puts us in late spring to meet with the public about this and share where we are and get feedback from all of you. And I have certainly expressed a lot of what is discussed at our meetings, and the interest that's that all of you have. We have funding for the planning part and preliminary engineering. What isn't available at this point is construction funding, but we're not at the construction. We're nowhere near the construction phase at this point, but in no means is it on the shelf either. So that's kind of that's the positive. That's the positive thing that I can
Okay.
share. But yeah, our intent is to meet with the public late spring and have those discussions.
Okay, Peter, let me, Mr. Bowie, I see your hand there. I'm gonna get to you in half a second, but I just have to ask Peter this question. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just really want to be forthright with our viewer, our audience here. What you're saying, it seemingly is, I mean, there's like two different things that are going on. I mean, you saying there's movement in terms of talking about what can be done and this and that, but there's not money there for the construction phase of it. We know, you and I both know, and I think everybody else can put this together, unless there's money for that. I mean, to complete this thing, you don't want, the last thing we want is for the community to be disrupted. You start something and you can't finish it. In other words, then we have to live with the residue of this. That's what we definitely don't know. I don't think anybody wants that. So
I informed them of that too.
yeah,
With that, but when as this project progresses, it's a little bit complicated when it comes to dealing with the utility companies, because the utility companies won't exactly work with us unless we actually have we State Highway Administration, for example, are on solid footing in regards to our project and what we propose to design for construction. So the level of support and cooperation that we get from the utility companies is it's kind of not the greatest, but I also stated that this is one of those things where we need to ensure that we don't have the same hiccups that we saw at the for the Kirby Hill Road project.
right, yeah. That's what I'm afraid of. If you don't have the money now to complete it, I don't think the public would want to be another like 6 years and slow walking this thing through. I mean, some of that was not in your control in terms of the Pepco. I think they delayed it about 18 months, something or other. But I may be a little, stepping a little bit out of line, but I just think we probably want, I think the public, because it's so disruptive when you start something and then it gets into the slow walk lane, and then everybody has to go through that slow walking phase where there's things are shut down, the lanes partially open and all that kind of thing. In years of that, is it worth trying to start something just to say you started it, but you really can't finish it in a reasonable amount of time, if you don't have the money for it, that's the thing. But anyway, I guess you'll discuss those things with the public when you come together in the spring for that.
Yeah, that's correct. I get it. I totally understand. But we're not, I would say, with respect to, construction, we're not there yet. So to, have that be a concern at this point.
Okay.
But all of you will have the opportunity to provide us with that feedback, and so that we're clear on what's expected of us.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Let me go to Mr. Boyer. He's been patient about his question. Mr. Boyer, let me get to you and your question. Thank you for your patience on that.
No problem. Just real quick, I was listening earlier about the 150 mile per hour average, and I was listening. I'm like, as a former motorcyclist, I know what it's like to get up to 130 miles an hour, let alone 150. And I was like, what stretch of highway that was used for? There's too many traffic lights, on 210, other than the intersection of 228 and 210, and you continue south. That's a straight, nothing impeding. But I was trying to gauge. I was like, where in the world is anyone going? Because 130 and 150, is not to say it's definitely danger, but I can't imagine. Most motorcycles top out at 180, and
Yeah.
you're saying we got data, that shows that multiple people are doing 170. And I was like, what part of the highway are they doing to calculate the average speed is 150? Because even, there's so much acceleration and deceleration in between the lights to get to that type of a top speed, let alone a community of people to do that.
Yeah. Well, my understanding, I don't have the exact, I can pinpoint, the speed to the exact portion, but from what I have seen, that will give you, I guess, give us all, where most of it has taken place is the span between Fort Washington Road and Swan Creek Road. That particular camera has picked up most of the highest speeds in the collection of high speeds. That's where the 170s has been picked up. I know that for a fact. And so that would probably be the area. Now remember that 150 is the middle figure between the 130 and the 170, 133 and 170 within that 3-month time span. But that span there at the I think it's the Weingarten location, that camera's picked up a lot. Now here's the second camera that's picked up a lot is the Farmington Road. The one that's Farmington Road. And here's where this is dangerous, because people are coming down that hill going northbound. They're coming down that hill from Accokeek Road, 237, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going northbound, and they're going through that intersection. And then if you're talking about Spanner Road, by the time they hit that camera, see, the only next thing they have is the intersection way up at the top of the hill on at Old Fort Road. So that's another area. Matter of fact, the way the speeds have been going, from what I've noticed over the period of time, the highest speeds usually happen at Weingarten. The second one is the one we just finished talking about at Farmington Road, and then it's the one up here by the Charles County line. That's usually the 1, 2, 3 cameras in that order where high speeds are collected.
Okay, thank you. I'm familiar with that stretch also. I know that's easy to get, good acceleration and deceleration.
Right.
I was looking, I was like, for it to be average, I was like, man, that is a high number, especially I know how fast that is, on a motorcycle, let alone it being the average.
Yeah. But see, we had an accident already there at Farmington Road. See, people, if they're blowing down that hill at warp speed, and then the light changes, anybody that's caught in that intersection, they're gonna hit. That's for instant fatality.
Right.
That's instant fatality, and that's where the danger is. I mean, and that's what they do. That's what they do. Andy can probably tell you because he's right there where that intersection is. And I mean, they're blowing through there at warp speed. And so it is a very, very, and that's one of the second, matter of fact, that was one of the accidents areas that we had out of the two last year, was right there at that intersection. It was right there at that intersection. And somebody actually was going the opposite direction. They were making a left turn, going up Farmington Road towards the west, I guess it is. And they got hit broadside from someone going southbound. So that's where it can happen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or any other comments anyone wants to make? Well, I don't have anything else to give us other than the next date we have is the February, Monday, the 19th, same time, same station. I pray that each of you again, I want to thank all of you for your diligence in being on board here tonight and all nights. This is an important issue that we all are involved in. We all have buy-in to this. It's good to know that you have interest to the point where you take your time, that you're doing other things, and you set aside this time to come on board here tonight and other nights to hear what the latest is in information. So I want to pray that each one of you, starting this new year, as was said, and I've been neglected to say Happy New Year to each one of you. I pray that each and every one of us can be safe on this roadway, safe in life general, and that the blessings of our Heavenly Father be upon each of you to get us through. We're having some challenging times, and on top of that, we have this roadway that we also have to deal with as well. But let me, in terms of encouragement news, because of your involvement, because of your patience, because of things that you have done in working towards and helping us on 210 Traffic Safety Committee to show that you are really interested in having better, to be a part of your quality of life on this roadway, that we all have a vested interest in. We are moving towards something, I think, in terms of getting this bill passed, where we can hopefully have more accountability to bring people to more of a conscious state of safety and stability on this roadway, Indiana Highway. We went from 10 fatalities in 2022 to 2 last year. Every life counts, but I just like to say, that was a marked improvement in terms of lives being saved from one year to the next. And I would like to think that bringing more awareness to what's happening on Indiana Highway, bringing more consciousness in people's driving behavior, hopefully played a part in that. We want to continue even to prove on that 2 figure to 0 if that's possible. But in any case, whatever means that we can do to bring improvement, it's always a good thing that we all can share in that improvement for a little bit more safety upon a road that has a renown that is should not be for being so dangerous as it is. So I would say God bless you to each one of you. Thank you so much for your time here tonight. We hopefully will come back again next month and having the information that we can again direct towards the legislators in the General Assembly to get this bill passed. Our thing is to move forward. Our thing is to make this roadway safely. I'll just end on this. Andy, you talked about the building that's going on, at Manatee. Believe me, Peter, you probably know that the 80,000 figure, that's not going to last long. I mean, these other jurisdictions, these other counties are building, and guess where they're coming down to get into the district? They're coming down Indiana Highway. I was just as about a meeting that we had with some officials from Charles County, and I was really, it really enlightened me to what was said at the meeting from one individual who's in the traffic safety for them, Charles County, It says 70% of the people that live in Charles County work outside of Charles County. Guess where a lot of them coming down? Guess what roadway they're coming down? Yeah, this is the same roadway. And they are building, believe me, they are building, building, building. So if we don't get ahead of this thing now, when this thing gets up to 90,000 and above, it's just going to be way out of control. It's going to be way out of control. So we're hopefully getting ahead of things in terms of getting things where people actually respect the speed laws to a greater degree than what they are right now. And hopefully that we all can benefit from it. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much. God bless each one of you. And hopefully we'll be back again on February 19th, that we have an update and hopefully the information to give to you to move our legislators on our side to get more accountability through this bill. PG 30624, by the way, is the identifier. So let's continue to keep ourselves moving forward. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Green.
Okay.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Everyone, good night.
Have a
Happy New
great
Year.
night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Okay. Good night.